McDonald's, burgers. Burgers are top of the funnel, but they actually make more money from the fries, right? So fries is not something which people come to McDonald's for, but they end up upselling as well as repeat purchases for. So burger, if a person takes one or two for themselves, fries, if it's a group, they take more or maybe replenish it. But that is what is actually their better seller from a volume perspective, right? That is what I have read at least. But yeah, even if that is not the case, you can see that it is adding an actual value. Nobody comes to McDonald's for the fries, but they end up purchasing it anyway by increasing the AOV or whatever. So you have to figure out what your front end is, right? And then use that to get the people into the funnel.
Today's topic is a bit different. We don't have D2C founder, but someone who has been helping D2C brand scale aggressively for the past, I don't know, 6 to 7 years, I guess, as far as I know, Faisal. Yeah, yeah. So today we have with us Faisal, who is the founder of Brandslane, a performance marketing agency that helps D2C brands scale aggressively, maintaining their profits, and also bringing in customers that retain for a very long time. I know Faisal for a very long time, like 5 years now. I know him personally, but for people who don't know who he is and what he does, Faisal, could you please give a brief about yourself and your business and why you started Brandslane?
Absolutely, sir. So I have, we started Brandslane about 6 years back in 2019. We specifically had the aim to help challenger brands in the DTC ecosystem scale up. A challenger brand is any brand that has the audacity to challenge the status quo, the audacity to go up against giants, which are the conventional brands that have been in the market for decades now. And we ourselves are challenger agencies in that sense. But yeah, that was the kind of nature of businesses that we intended to work with and help scale up, with the core focus on the metric of performance, right? Which we have, I would say that is our strongest arm. Performance being money that comes in and money you print out, that has to be ensured that ROI is maintained. So that is the core KPI that we focus upon as a marketing company, that whatever money we put into advertising has a holistic revenue impact. And that was with the goal with which we have and continue to work. Even the new services that we focus upon over the last 6 years that we have developed efficiencies in are focused entirely on ROI. So that is the lingo that we speak, and that is what we're all about.
Awesome. So I have a couple of questions on that front as well. So I've been seeing your screenshots on Instagram and LinkedIn with the revenue generated, but I'm curious to know what goes behind bringing in those numbers, right? So let's say you've been handed over an ad account, okay, who has gotten like a solid product, they have found their PMF and so on, but the growth has been plateaued. So how would
Right.
you approach those accounts and what is the framework that you would use in order to scale them?
So it is in every business that starts off when it's come to performance marketing, there's always a growth curve, then a plateau which always comes across, right? Plateau, the reason for the plateau are variable. It could be that your product has tapped out, your audience has tapped out, or this was the maximum potential that said number of products which were fine at a lower scale, but are now not that interesting at a wider scale, right? So slowly and gradually that plateau tends to hit in any industry, right? So you first of all in a situation like this have to understand what is the 20% which is driving my 80%, right? In terms of revenue and in terms of performance. Focus more on those. Then you have to figure out okay, what are the most convertible assets, or what are the things which are, I would say, hidden diamonds. Okay, this is a product which is selling well and I'm not spending much on it, right? So that is like a hidden diamond that okay, I need to spend more on these. So newer categories that you might be missing out on right now. Third is figuring out inefficiencies. Okay, now I've splurged all this money over the last some years, and now I've seen that okay, I am a women's brand and 10% of my spend is going towards men, right? Or I am a Gen Z brand and 20% of my spend is going towards older people, which might not be my right TG. So cutting and culling those things, and then the sharpening the return on advertising, figuring those hidden, informations, and then trying to optimize for that. That is something which can always pump up building your sharpen up the return on advertising. But ultimately, after a plateau, if a plateau has to be removed, the most important thing is first of all hear your customers. What are they saying? What are they getting bored of? Second, figuring out ways to get new customers acquired through new collection launches, new creatives, new product launches, anything that you can figure out, new offers, more customer focused offers. So it's always about keeping your ear on the ground, figuring out with your existing customers what they're looking for, new prospects what they're looking for, and then aligning in that direction itself, right? Rather than just looking at a macro market and your competitors and trying to ape that. Talk to your customers and see what is the thing that can be improved, and then advertising the shit out of it, right? That is the only way that you can keep scaling up.
Awesome. Could you just dive deeper onto the first point that you mentioned, like the 20% brings with the rule of 88 and 20%, which you
Absolutely.
mentioned? Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So every brand, every business in the world has their hero products, I would put it that way, right? So you always have to keep a sharp eye on what is the asset or what are the things which are driving my revenue, right? And then that is one. And then the second conversation is, are they driving profits as well? As an example, you have a product which is selling well and you keep on selling it. But when you look at the back end, you're like, okay, so the COGS is a little bit on the higher front and the return on advertising is not that high. Now you are selling it because it sells well for whatever reason, it can be multiple reasons, right? But then that is not the actual 80% revenue driver that you should be looking at. You should be trying to figure out, okay, if this is driving my revenue and not my profit, I should not put this much spend on it. You have to be very, very obtuse about the numbers, right? Okay, what is driving what? Being very empathetic about it. Okay, the actuality. Okay, this product is good and it is selling well, but it is not driving profit. Or this product is not as good, right? But because it's not driving that much revenue, but it is a profitable product, and then this kind of volume, it is driving this much profit. So again, when it is 80-20 rule, you just have to figure out what are your best sellers in terms of revenue and profit, and then try to optimize that. And whatever are the products which have potential, you can also, those will be the remaining 80 percenters which will drive the rest 20%. You always have to keep on testing newer products, because when it depending on the category, things always go down and go up. So you always have to be testing newer product lines as well, side by side.
Perfect. So when you say scaling, a lot of people have in mind that scaling means like just putting in a lot of budget and just running it again, right? How do you define as scaling? Like what exactly scaling means to you and how have you been doing it for the brands you're working with?
Scaling is essentially what you, as you defined it, you find out what is working for you, and then you put logical spend into that and expect a logical return, right? So if I know, okay, I'm spending, let's say, 10,000 rupees a day, which is 3 lakh rupees a month, and I'm able to generate, let's say, 10 lakh, which is a 3x ROI against that, right? Which is fine. That's good. But then when you go deeper into it, you find opportunities to increase that 10,000 to, let's say, 30,000 a day, right? That increase in spend, which is justifiable, is called scale. When you figure out, okay, this is the product which is working the best. These are the ads assets which are working the best, right? This is the kind of audience which is buying from me the best. So when you figure that out, when all these three, four criteria, which is the asset, which is the creative, the product, which is the product, when you figure these two to three things out, okay, what are the things which are working? You increase the spends there, and that is how you scale things up. Obviously, there has to be a good proportionate ROI. Again, volumes of sales does not mean profitability. You have to be very sure about, okay, is because if you scale things up, if the return on advertising is not good right now, it will only get worse with scale. So you have to figure out, okay, if this is to be scaled, is it profitable already or not? If it is profitable and showing good volumes, and then you can scale it up. But you have to find those opportunities.
Awesome. What is a good ROI? Like when you say if the ROI is good or not, how would you define if it's a good one or not? Like what is the minimum?
There is no definition, and that is one of the important things about this game. If you do not understand your own economics, you cannot expect an agency to answer that as well. So any ROI has to be justified against the economics of the brand, right? If you're, let's say, you are selling something at 1,000 rupees, your cost of manufacturing is 500 rupees, right? So you just have 500 rupees extra to play with, right? So if I manage my cost of acquisition, so somewhere around 200 rupees, right? Assuming other expenses and everything, तो वहां पे मेरे को 200 ही है जिसके अंदर मैं प्ले कर सकता हूँ ना, cost of acquisition perspective, right? So for that brand to survive, the minimum return on advertising has to be 4.5 to 5 as per the economics, right? And that is why you have to figure a way around to always reduce the cost, your cost of manufacturing, because cost of acquisition is something which is always going to go up with time, right? So that
Makes sense.
answer to that, or that always lies in, like, I do not believe in projections. कि, okay, we will give 3x and 4x and 5x. Obviously, there are industry standards And there are some categories in which you can expect industry standards to be hit, like food, skincare, jewelry, right? But apart from those standards, right, standard कितना भी अच्छा हो कितना भी खराब हो, if it is not making sense for your brand, right, it's not going to be mathematically logical, right? If an industry is known for doing a 2x ka ROAS, you have to figure a way around that 2x ka ROAS. So there's something that Alex Hormozy says, that build your business around the platform or the ROAS rather than trying to, fit ROAS in your business. अगर ROAS ही इतना ही आता है, then there is nothing you can do to actually change that. So it's not a very flexible metric. So you have to figure out in your ways, okay, I have, multiple upsells, right? Or I have a post purchase funnel that is going to bring the actual cash. I'll give an example, right? I was speaking to a founder, they are into health category, very interesting brand, and the very number focused founder as well. Now they were selling a product on front end, which was at, I think, a 4 to 5x. Right now, that sounds good, but obviously, as I discussed with you, the cost of manufacturing everything, not always the peachiest picture. Right. So what he did was, it was a health focused product. So he had a team of doctors on the back end, which used to treat every purchase as a as a form filled. Their sales team used to call them and sell them on the, kind of like an AMC, for an annual health checkup, right? When the actual doctors were working on the back end for that specific product, for that specific problem that the product was solving. It was a liver related product, right? And that is where they actually made money. So on the front end, they were doing 1 crore. They were spending 20 lakhs. They were making 1 crore. All happy. As a business, they were doing 5 crores a month. You have to understand what works for my business and try to figure out more pillars that you can put in the back end to actually churn money from your customers on a regular basis. And that blew my mind when I talked to that founder about 3.5 years back. I was like, okay, this is how you make businesses profitable. Yeah, even your the coaches and consultants, people who actually run coaching and consulting empires and courses and stuff, that is how they make money. The front end is not the revenue driver. The front end is just a liquidator. It just gets people into the funnel. The upsells is what builds the money. That is what builds the cash flow. And that is what has to be focused upon. So you have to figure out what works from a business perspective, what brings the audience in, what actually builds profits, and then try to figure a way around that.
Makes sense. Interesting. So when you now that you've been running a lot of ad campaigns across different industries as well, right? What are some
Hmm.
commonalities that you have seen with respect to creatives when it comes to that side of things, like the assets and stuff, common things that have kind of worked for you, both in terms of like scaling and also profitability?
Creatives is something which, again, it's in flux. It always changes. So something which is working today is not going to work tomorrow or day after. Like I give an example. Till last year, negative hooks were working very well. You start the conversation or an ad with a negative hook, So, Sohail sucks, and I'll tell you why. He's too good a guy. His cap is awesome. He travels a lot. He's a fitness freak. He doesn't have time for me, and the dude is doing so much that gonna scale and he's gonna forget me. These are the 5 reasons you shouldn't be filled with Sohail. Right? Now, this ad format is putting negatives as positive. So it used to work very well. Now it is a little bit tapped out, right? So again, for creatives, you always have to keep an eye out for what are the formats which are working well in the market, but not just looking good, but also converting well, right? So again, comes down to how observant you are. Even in your own ad, you have to always keep an eye on, okay, what are the formats which are working, right? And how can I make this mine? I think in India, brands are not very good with this, but in the US, I've seen brands are very, very judicious with their creatives, right? Every new creative does not require a new shoot to happen. You have to keep on testing hooks. You have to keep on testing headlines. You have to keep on testing small things, right? With the same assets, if you get just one shoot done, I very easily you can churn out 100 plus creatives with just one shoot done, right? By just changing the context of the conversation with hooks, with music, so many assets that you can play with, right? So that is actually a creative strategy rather than just making one video and putting all the money in it and just giving it like one copy and one text and just testing that out. That is not how it works, because that is just you assuming that your message is something that people want to hear. You have right now an opportunity to test out 10 messages that people want to hear, right? So let's say there's an ad of a ring. You can try the hook, gifted this to my mom, gifted this to my girlfriend, gifted this to my wife. These are three in gift itself based on three different relationships, right? Then you can try more hooks like, okay, you are not going to regret buying this hook. Same ad, same context. You can change the music. In these first three relationship ones, you can change the music. In the mother one, you can have more soft music. In the girlfriend one, you can have more peppy and more, exciting music. In the wife one, again, a little bit pleaser. So you can try those things out. You can try a voiceover on this without voiceover. So many iterations you can test out, right? And that is when you figure out, okay, ye kam kar raha hai. This is what is working. Okay, mother is working, and girlfriend is working, wife is not working. Okay, so I will take this, and then I'll scale it up more, right? So that is how you increase the chances of your ad assets working, by experimenting on different customer personas and trying to mold the ad in that persona and seeing what is going to work. And then obviously whatever formats, reels, themes are working, just in putting those into that context as well. But yeah,
Incorporating them.
incorporating them exactly.
Awesome, awesome. So if you could give me like a funnel that you have built in the past, like that has kind of printed you revenue like since a very long time and have been working, what would it be like?
Again, the term usually funnel as a term, from a top, middle, bottom of the funnel, usually
Yeah, yeah.
works well for info products much more, right? In e-commerce, it is a little bit all over the place. You have to keep it a little bit muddled up. You cannot have specific communications on top and specific on the middle. It used to work. Now it doesn't, not that much, right? It has to be all creatives, gung ho, kaun si cheez kahan pe chalegi. You really, honestly, you don't know. If you devise it to funnel by funnel by funnel, it used to work when there was less clutter, right? Now there is so much clutter. If you direct the ad a lot, your ROAS is going to tank, right? So, but that doesn't mean that there is no funneling that is done. I usually do it on the basis of, okay, what are the top of the funnel or front end winners for me, and what are the bottom of the funnel winners for me. Example: there are certain products which sell well on the top of the funnel, which have the highest conversion rate. You focus on those products only on top of the funnel. Then you have a retention marketing funnel going on, where like, okay, ये product top of the funnel पे ads से नहीं बिक रहा है because its CPM is very high, or for whatever reason. But इस product को हम offers के through and through retention marketing we can liquidate that stock, right? So it is a good repeat purchase for my product. So you have to identify that. So we have that running for a couple of our brands. The top of the funnel is one hero product. It's in the skincare niche, where, okay, stretch mark cream is what is working for this brand. But on the bottom of the funnel, they have combos, they have 5 6 different products which are not coming out on the top of the funnel, but we devise internal or, secondary or tertiary communication on bottom of the funnel to liquidate that as well, right? So that is something that usually works in the funneling. When it comes to e-commerce as a space, you have to understand what brings the customers in. As an example, McDonald's burgers are top of the funnel, but they actually made more money from the fries, right? So fries is not something which people come to McDonald's for, but they end up upselling as well as repeat purchases for. So burger, if a person takes one or two for themselves, fries, if it's a group, they take more or maybe replenish it. But that is what is actually their better seller from a volume perspective, right? That is what I have read at least. But yeah, even if that is not the case, you can see that it is adding an actual value. Nobody comes to McDonald's for the fries, but they end up purchasing it anyway by increasing the AOV or whatever. So you have to figure out what your front end is, right? And then use that to get the people into the funnel. In coaching space, it can be pretty much like, 999 course or whatever, and then figure out, okay, what is going to sell in a different approach, from retention marketing, retargeting ads, other approaches, upsells, emails, whatever. But that is what we
Understood.
do as well. Yep.
Understood. So when it comes to like retargeting and stuff, right? How is the ratio like that you said?
70 for top of the funnel and 30%
Okay.
revenue driven from marketing. That is a healthy
Okay.
metric to look at.
Awesome. What's your take on like the broad targeting and the niche down targeting? Is that something that is working in 2025 or how is it?
Absolutely. All kind of targetings work. It's just about giving meta a direction. Broad also works. It's all about the creative direction, I would say, or what the creative is doing, which we basically call creative targeting, right? But yeah, broad works. A lot of my clients, we are scaling at somewhere around, 1 crore, 1.5 crore, even 2 crore with just broad targeting as well, right? So it comes down to the communication, and sometimes you just require more audience signaling to happen. So both works, but there is no one shoe fit all. You have to test everything.
So
Yes,
you mean to say
too
like with the
too narrow a
go ahead.
targeting doesn't. If you there was a time when you like, okay, I'll narrow down the targeting and make it fit the ideal customer for me. That was 2021. Now you have to go for broader audiences. So if you are a skincare brand, beauty, cosmetics, skincare. Okay. If you are an apparel brand, sold store, bewakoof.com, right? Broader audiences which already have a broader audience funnel, right? Engaged shoppers or whatever, clothing, women dresses, whatever works, but broader audiences rather than saying, very niche down thing ki, okay, I'll go for just people who have been to Bali, right? Usme kuch hi log honge, or people who just like this specific book or whatever, because Meta also is not renewing its audiences, it's not making new audiences these days, right? Whatever audiences have been are there, right? And they are actively removing audiences as well. Detailed targeting, they keep on removing, but whatever audiences are there are based on Facebook pages and all, which were pre 2018, 19. I don't think we have ever followed a Facebook page, at least recently, right? So there's that. How I usually validate this thought is basically, you know, actors. There have been so many new actors which have come since 2020, right? None of them are in interest. Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, Amir Khan, these are still audiences in Meta. You can target people who, like their Facebook pages and all, right? Can't do for a newer actor who is, famous, but not a recent joining, right? You can't target them. So, and Meta is actively removing audiences and all, slowly and gradually. Slowly and gradually, it will become a zero sum game only. So, your targeting has to be on the creative. The creative has to say, if you're targeting mothers, right? Are you a mother who is suffering from this? That ad, the initial few impressions itself and the pixel data, ad account data is going to direct it in the right direction.
Awesome, awesome. So when you do this, right, what kind of is like a signal for you if the campaign is gonna be a winner or like it's gonna die out? Like initial statement, like in the beginning itself, you wouldn't be able to get an idea of if the campaign is gonna perform or not. Like how long will it take? Or
It depends on the average order value, Soil. So it depends on what is the time period and average order value is going to, or the spend it is going to justify. I'll give you an example. We have one client which is having an average order value of 350 rupees. For their brand, my decision making happens in 1.5 day maximum for an ad, right? I have one brand that has an AOV of 1500 rupees. There, my decision making takes at least 2 to 2.5 days, right? Because depending on the spends I'm putting on them to justify that kind of a purchase to happen. Real estate might take long. Products which are at 20, 30,000 might take longer, right? Because then you have to look at the spend you are doing against the ROI. So let's say our product is priced at 1500, right? Let's say I'm spending 1,000 rupees a day for that specific brand to perform. Let's say the first day I get a one purchase, right? So my ROAS is what, 1.5. Next day, I do not get any purchase. So I spent 2,000 and just made 1,500. So by day two, I'm sure ki, yaar, this is not going to give me ROAS, right? So that is one way of going about it. The second way is just looking at the unit economics from the very initial thought, touch point. You start getting feedbacks like cost per click, CTR, CPM, right? You have to look at that and see if it is ever going to make a mathematical sense. For a product which is priced at 1,500 rupees, my CPC, like you can compare it to the account average. The account average, let's say, is 15 rupees CPC, and here I am getting 40 rupees. I know it's not going to work, right? My cost per click itself is for, 3 times the account average. Second is obviously if the product is priced at 1,500, the maximum its CPC needs to be somewhere between, you know, 10 to 15 rupees, ideal case scenario, right? For it to make mathematical sense. So this way, you can very easily gauge, okay, the CTR is 0.5%, the account average is 1.5%, means the ad is not interesting enough. Renew it, right, on another audience. Or the product, you are getting great cost, but after some time, the product add to carts are not happening. So there it is, people are not adding it to carts. People are not liking this product. Okay, so let's roll back. Let's try to figure something else. So that is the approach. Make sense?
understood. Yeah, yeah, I got it. On the paid marketing side, right? Like, what are some of the misconceptions like D2C founders have when it comes to paid marketing? But because I've seen in places where there'll be like the ad budgets that we had put is not working and all of that. So, what are some of the basic misconceptions they have, and is it a
Right,
misconception or not? So, if someone who is
right,
getting started.
right. Yes. So I have a very simple, understanding of marketing. So if you can sell a product without putting money onto it or without putting a lot of money onto it, it will succeed, right? So I prefer putting money on ads and suggest putting money on ads only when you start getting organic validation, because ads will only either improve your situation or worsen it, right? It's like steroids. If you are doing the steps right, a steroid can make you, a really, really good looking actor. But if your fundamentals are not good, if you are already not making money out of your initial organic purchases or at a spend of, let's say, 2,000 a day, अगर आपका ROAS नहीं आ रहा है, then 10 lakhs a month में भी नहीं आएगा, right? It only worsens the situation. What ads do is basically reach out to more people, right? That is essentially what it does with the right optimization and everything, right? So if your foundation and fundamentals are not good, it's just going to be like pouring a lot of water in a bucket with holes. Less water may you can keep covering up the gaps, but when the water is coming at a speed at which you can't control, it's going to worsen up, right? So people attribute a lot of their success on advertising or कि paid ads chala nahi chala, while they are not looking at inward and seeing कि their product is working or not. But they profitable ever to go with it, because in the end, ad is just targeting and reporting back. Right? People don't take action on the report back. They do not see, okay, where is my funnel lagging? Where is the cost per click going too high? Where is the customer leaking out of? Right? Where is the gap happening? If CPC is good, let's say for a product at 1,000 rupees, the CPC is 4 rupees. Great CPC, amazing. A lot of people coming in. The ROAS is still 1x. Where is the gap happening? Where am I losing out customers? They don't go into the feedback loop. So ads is becoming lesser and lesser effective with the day, right? So that is the second problem. People do not have a creative thought process at all these days, at least DTC founders I have seen, or any founder, to think beyond the box. They are doing ads because everybody is doing ads. Simple as that. What is the extra edge that you're putting it in terms of content, community building, product, anything? I know it sounds very easy for me to say, right? Because the founder is where the hard work is going to be. But that is the case. That is the scenario. The market is like that only. Ads only tell you your reality, right? So ads can bring you success. It can bring you down as well. But what surely can you are things that you can control is the assets and the brand elements that you have.
Understood. So you would recommend someone to get their ball rolling on the organic side of things and then consider paid marketing?
A little bit, yes. Little bit. Paid advertising, it is not a must, but in the initial front, I would say try to figure things out without ads. Try to figure out, other channels. Twitter. A lot of founders go very aggressive on Twitter, right? Okay, go very aggressive on LinkedIn, right? Try to figure out how the purchase can happen without putting a lot of money into it, right? Community building around yourself. So again, ads is the only way that you can scale up, right? But it's not the end game. It is not the only way. People usually are like, okay, ads chal gayi, mera to ho gaya. Now I'm done and dusted and I'm like the king of the world. Ads is just there and ROAS is just there for about a quarter. I can assure you, ROAS is something which is bound to, as a nature of the thing, come down with time. Because people are going to get bored of you. People are going to not remember you after a certain time. Competitors are bound to come in your category as well. So what are you doing, which is ensuring that that ROAS thing is not the only channel you are dependent upon, right?
Perfect. So this could be probably the last question. So if you could give like an advice for a D2C founder who is just getting started, what it would be?
I have a lot of advice, but again, it comes down to the previous question that you asked, well, that try to figure out things without putting a lot of money into it. Be judicious, right? Don't ape your competitors at all, right? But yeah, most importantly would be, without putting a lot of money into marketing, try to figure out how you can get purchases. Have your fundamentals cleared, look at the cost metric and everything, and have very realistic expectation out of paid advertising, right? Because that is bound to be disappointing after a certain time. But yeah, that is how I would always suggest. Yeah, and be number focused. One last one: don't hire an agency too early. This is
Why would you
very
say that?
important, because by their very nature, agencies know their stuff. But when you are starting off and you do not have a lot of budget, you are not going to get the right talent, first of all, right? And second, when you do not have a frame of reference to compare success against, you are going to screw it up, right? You will have to be okay with everything that the agency is saying to you, because you can't refer back or you cannot compare it to something. If you get an agency on day one and they're like, okay, the ROAS is only going to be 2, buddy, can't do anything about it. You will have to accept that. Yeah. You can't compare it to anyone. You can't compare it to competitors. You can't say, okay, I am a new brand, you are a new brand, so you'll have to be like, okay, I'm fine with. But when you have done the runway, when you have made 1 to 2 lakhs yourself, you're like, okay, this is what I have built. Right now, it is on to you. So getting an agency is more like at the initial front, at least delegation on certain things. So you as a founder can focus on 10 different things, right? And then that thing can be leveled up, maintained, and then grown by decent talent.